All right. Well, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Boojum-Verse. We are just hanging out in a little C3 here. We've got a token perimeter reservoir, and while we are mining some of this fullerite C70, I was thinking about the journey that we've been on as we have been nomading our way through J-Space for the past few months. As you know, we're using 4 ships. We're using the Tengu as our PvE and PvP ship. We're using an Astero now, upgraded from a Buzzard, for our exploration and scouting ship, and also some PvP as well. And then we have our prospect here that is in the process of hoovering down all this gas. And of course we have our porpoise. All of our ships they're all cloaked up right now as we're just keeping an eye on all these wormholes here while we grab all this gas. So we were thinking about the journey that we've been on, especially with our Tengu. And we have tried, tested a whole bunch of builds when it comes to the C3 rat sites with our Tengu. So I thought, let's throw together a quick video on all of the builds that I have found to be very successful in J-Space with our Tengu. So let's just jump right on in. As you guys know, we're working on a video on how to create your own little nomad fleet through J-Space, whether it's 1 ship up to, 4 or 5, as many as you can. In fact, let's go ahead and increase. We're going to increase the resolution here. All right, there we go. Bump the resolution up a little bit for you guys, so we can talk about some of the different fits that we have for our Tengu. As you know, I love the Tengu. I love Caldari ships. I love that they're shield focused. I love that they're missile focused. I love the way it looks. I love the lore of all of the T3Cs originating from J-Space, which I think is just so cool. So we've tried a bunch of different fits with our Tengu, and they've gone from super cheap, relatively cheap, to very expensive. Our kind of mentality as we've been playing on our Tengu has been to continue to buy the best mods that we can for it and earn our way to a more expensive ship. Is it necessary to do that? No, but I think it's really fun. It's something super rewarding about going and clearing a whole bunch of C3 rat sites, getting all of the loot from it, and taking it back to K-Space, selling it, and then using all that ISK to make the ship even cooler, even better, even stronger. So that's what we've been doing. So we'll start with the beginning. I think we'll just do a quick overview of some of the fits that we've had here, and we'll take a look at where we kind of started. So when we first designed our nomad little fleet, we knew that we wanted the Tengu to do 2 things. 1, be able to accomplish PvP, and then 2, be able to clear all of the C3 rat sites in kind of reverse order. So the primary role was PvE, clear the rat sites, get a bunch of ISK. The secondary role was have fun doing PvP in J-Space. So now, I love the Tengu. I think it's an amazing ship. I really want to fly the Loki, though. I think that everybody says the Loki's amazing. The Loki looks like it's super fun. It looks cool. I really want to skill into the Loki next and give that a shot. But we are having so much fun with the Tengu. It's an amazing little ship. So here's kind of what we started with. We did a little bit of experimentation with the Tengu before we settled on this fit here. We will use the Scourge Rage heavy assault missiles as our baseline when we go through all of our stats here. Also realize we're pretty high up on our skills. We'll talk about that in a second, I suppose. But let's just start with a basic overview of the T3C and its subsystems. So when it comes to the T3Cs, the subsystem skills are... Oop. As you can see, we're like ninja ratting this token site. So gotta pay attention for a second here as these rats have now spawned. Just make sure we kind of leave them behind and we don't get completely nuded. I think we'll be good. I think we'll be good. Our capacitor's coming back. We're no longer being nuded. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay. So, what were we saying? Now, when it comes to the skills for your T3Cs, these subsystem components are super important. So if we go to our subsystems here, you can see we've got our Caldari core, defensive, offensive, and propulsion systems all up to 5. Highly recommend you get to at a minimum 4, but really 5 is the goal. Get there as fast as possible. And then after that, start thinking about getting your Caldari actual cruisers up to 5. And the Caldari strategic cruiser over 5. You can see I'm still just at 4 when it comes to the strategic cruiser. Bonuses to strategic cruiser: 5% reduction in module damage from overheating. T3Cs love to be overheated, just always overheat. Not always, but you know, like you can overheat at will, basically. You get a bonus to nano repair pace and speed, which goes hand in hand with overheating your modules. And then you get a roll bonus for reduction in scan, probe launcher, and CPU requirements. So up to 25% for the module reduction in module damage from overheating, and up to 50% for the nano repair pace, which is pretty sweet. But the main thing, so the main bonuses go towards the actual subsystems. For this fit, for our starting fit that we used, we're going with the propulsion subsystem, giving us a 50% bonus to afterburner velocity, 50% bonus to overheating, afterburners, and microwaves. We're using the afterburner. The next one that we're using is the accelerated ejection bay. Why? Because we're going to be using heavy assault missiles, as you'll see here in a second. That gives us a 25% bonus to kinetic heavy assault missile damage. Kinetic. So we want to make sure we're using kinetic. Classic Caldari. We are kinetic locked, which is really the biggest downfall, I think, of the Tengu, is that you're kinetic locked. Just a quick double check on our prospect. They're good. Okay. Let's see. We also get a 7.5% bonus to heavy assault missile launcher rate of fire per skill level, and a 10% bonus to heavy assault missile velocity. So that's going to increase your range. It's going to increase your DPS. And then we've also got the damage. So great stuff here with the accelerated ejection bay. And then finally, we get a reduction in our CPU and power grid fitting costs for the missile launchers. We get +7 high slots, 6 launcher hard points, so we get 1 additional. And then we've got a nice amount of power grid and CPU. We're going to need all of it. Okay. For our defensive subsystem, we're using the amplification node. So the amplification node, 10% bonus to shield booster effectiveness per level, 10% bonus to the benefits of overheating shield boosters. So again, Caldari, shield focus, 50% for your shield booster effectiveness, and then overheating your shield boosters. We really don't overheat the shield boosters that much. If we're going to overheat one of our shield modules, it's going to be the multi-spec shield hardener for sure. That gives you a really, really nice benefit. It's also quite robust. It doesn't get damaged too fast. And then we get 3 mid slots, a low slot, 500 shield HP addition, and +100 armor HP, and +300 gigajoules of capacitor capacity. Okay, for our core subsystem, we're going to be using the augmented graviton reactor. So for that, 5% bonus to capacitor capacity, 3% bonus to energy warfare resistance, those are, I mean, those are both good. We're going to be fighting a lot of energy warfare. They're going to be webbing us. We're going to get neuted by the enemies in these C3 rat sites. So we want to make sure we're good to go there. So one of the other reasons our capacitor capacity is so important on this fit. So we're getting 25% bonus to that, and then a 15% bonus to the energy warfare resistance. Followed by plus 20% bonus to our ship power output, 2 mid slots, 2 low slots, and plus 50 gigajoule capacitor capacity. Okay, so all those things combined result in us having 7 high slots, 7 mid slots, 3 lows, and obviously our rigs. All right, so for the high slots, we're going with heavy assault missiles. I absolutely love the heavy assault missiles. Super fast DPS. They also feel like a really good balance of damage for big ships like battleships, battle cruisers, other cruisers, but then you can also do really, really good damage to the little guys like frigates, things like that. So it just feels like its heavy assault missiles are just really well balanced, especially when it comes to range and things like that as well. Okay, so we've got 7 heavy assault missile launcher 2s. We're using either Scourge Rage heavy assault missiles or Scourge Javelin heavy assault missiles. And that sound is a sound of our Prospect full on gas. So let's go ahead and warp them off to our Porpoise. We'll dump our gas and get them back on the field to gather more. God, look how the Porpoise is so cool. Such a cool ship. Alright, throw that in our mining hold. How much do we have in the mining hold now? We're up to 1.1 billion ISK so far in gas. That's not too bad. Not too bad. It's been like a week or so that we've been really focusing on mining before we sold our last little group, I think. I think we're gonna be just fine. I think we're gonna be just fine. Now then, where were we? We were talking about our heavy assault missile launchers. That's right. Okay, so with our heavy assault missile launchers, right now, we are looking at a 31 kilometer max range, which is perfect for all of the C3 sites. We can actually boost that a little bit. We'll talk about that when we get to our low slots here in a second. Sorry, we'll talk about that a bit when we get to our mid slots in a second. All right, so for our last high slot, we've got a probe launcher on there. Now, what I really recommend doing, and what I actually end up doing here is, instead of running a probe launcher, we run a cloaking device. Now, we don't have a covert ops config on here, so we would just be running a normal cloaking device, but it's super helpful in case you get interrupted while you're on your C3 rat site. You have to warp off because somebody's entered your wormhole, and it's really nice to be able to just hit a safe spot, cloak up, and not have to worry about it. Versus having the probe launcher, now, like, we've got a bit of issues where you may not be able to do that. So instead, what I recommend doing is just make sure you've got a mobile depot, make sure you have a probe launcher and your probes, and then also have a cloaking device in here that you run, and just swap them out. So when you're on your rat site, clearing everything out, you got the cloaking device on. If you need to warp off and cloak, you can. And then if for some reason you need to throw the probe launcher on there, you can do that too, when it's all nice and safe. All right, so for the mids. By the way, I guess we should be clear too. Like, when you're nomading, there's such freedom when it comes to nomading through J-Space. You just don't worry about wormholes closing behind you. You don't worry about not being able to get back to high sec. Like, dude, everywhere is your home. It's so much fun. It's so amazing. So, like, I don't know, you just think about the game completely differently. But I'm getting off topic. We'll talk about that in another video, I think. I mean, We're definitely going to talk about that in another video when we're making on how to nomad through J-Space. Okay, so for the mid slots, we have 2 missile guidance computer 2s. The reason we have these is so that we can throw a range script on there. And if we have a range script on, if we have 2 range scripts on, that gets us out to 37 kilometers for our missiles, which is nice. There are a couple of rat sites where the enemy cruisers will try to keep you at around 31 to 32 kilometer range. So it's not super necessary to have these, but it gives you some flexibility where if they spawn a little bit too far away, you can start to put shots on target early. It just makes the speed of your ability to clear those sites a little faster. Gives you a little bit better flexibility. You can clear those sites a little faster. Conversely, you could also throw a precision script on here and increase your application. So typically, if I need the range, we'll run 1 or 2 range scripts. Otherwise, we're running the precision script to just increase our application with our missiles, do that much more damage. We're also going to be running a Republic Fleet large cap battery. This is just really going to help us stay cap stable. Being cap stable in these sites is very important, and as well as having a good amount of residual capacitor, because you will get neuted. There are enemies where the trigger are the ships that are neuting you, so you do have to be careful there. It can be a little bit tricky. Yeah, so for example, one of my favorite sites to run are the Fortification Frontier Strongholds. There are several enemies that newt you there. The Awakened Upholders, they are the trigger. So if you kill all of those guys to try to avoid the newts, the next wave will spawn. So you got to be careful. Also going to post a link to Grubu's maintained, no-lax, updated cars, modified Rykki's guide 1.5. You've probably heard of Rykki's guide to wormholes. It's a really, really great product. I'll throw it in there. It's a Google Doc. I use it all the time. For every single rat site that we're on, we have that up just to make sure that we don't trigger things unnecessarily. We keep everything nice and controlled while we're moving our way through all of J-Space. It also gives you information on how much ISK you can make at gas sites, ore sites, all of C1 through C6 rat sites, data, relic sites. It's great. It's super great. That'll be in the description. Having that large cap battery is what's going to allow us to really stay nice and cap stable. Gives a bunch of extra capacitor capacity so that we can do well against the newts. All right, then we got a Federation 10 meganewton afterburner on there to give us a good amount of velocity. We are going to be speed tanking some of the battleships that are on each of these sites. So the speed is important, as well as piloting your ship. Super important. Make sure that you get some good transversal velocity against those big hits that the battleships throw at you to induce those misses. All right, then we're running 2 medium shield boosters. For our kind of cheap fit, if you will, we've got 2 Dread Garistas medium shield boosters. And having those 2 medium shield boosters gives us an overall active defense of 118.8 HP per second. Not bad. Not bad. You have to be careful running these sites for sure with this fit. You got to be careful, but it is totally doable. You may need to overheat the very last medium slot that we have, which is the multi-spec shield hardener 2. May have to overheat that. Having the transversal velocity, having your ship orbiting at the right range, the right speed, getting under the guns of the battleships is super important to keep you alive. But we can totally do it. Totally do it. All right, in the low slots, we've got 3 ballistic control system 2s just to up our damage as much as possible. And then finally, in our on our rigs, we've got 2 EM shield reinforcer 2s and a medium semiconductor memory cell 2. Again, the semiconductor memory cell is really just to get the capacitor capacity up. We just want more capacitor capacity to make sure we're good to go with the newts. So all of this combined gives our fit a total cost of like 616 million ISK, which I don't know exactly how. We're in J space right now, so there's maybe plus a little bit, minus a little bit. I'm not exactly sure what kind of JITA prices we have right now since we're out here in J space. It's probably pretty close. But as far as T3Cs go, like, not bad. Not bad. I think we could probably make it a little bit cheaper. You would definitely have to focus a bit more on piloting. For example, if you just went with medium shield booster 2s instead of the Dread Garista ones, that gets you around 100 HP per second. A little bit low, but I think is possible. Totally worth a little bit of extra ISK to give you a little bit more peace of mind. But pretty cheap. Pretty cheap for a T3C, I think. This is what we started with, and we've just earned our way up from there. Okay, so all this, 616 million ISK, and for our DPS, we're doing over 1,000 damage per second. We do have a couple of implants that we have in our pod that kind of boost our damage a little bit there, but you should be getting pretty close to 1,000 DPS. 2,000 HP Alpha Strike, which is awesome. And then for our actual EHP, sitting just shy of 20,000. Not bad. Not bad at all. Resists, EM, our lowest at 63, classic Kaldari, but overall 69, 65, and 72. Not too bad for resistances. Not too bad at all. Okay, we're moving at 641.3 meters per second with the Afterburner on. So that is our sort of starting C3 rat site fit. That's what we began with. So as we started making more and more ISK off of the blue loot that we were earning in all of our C3 sites, we started to upgrade our Tengu a little bit. And it just made the fit feel a lot more comfortable. We started to clear sites a little bit faster. And like I said, I think it's a lot of fun to throw some bling on your ship here and there. You know what I mean? So what do we do to upgrade this? Well, we upgraded our multi-spec shield Hardener to a Pithum C-type, which gives us a lot of great defense. That gives us up to 65, 75, 72, and 69% shield resists across the different elements. And then we upgraded our 2 medium shield boosters to 2 Pithum C-types. We actually ended up getting a B-type as well. So that ended up increasing the cost of our ship up to around 1.1 to 1.5-ish billion ISK. Pretty expensive, but super fun to fly. Very capable in these C3 sites. Made them super easy. That boosts our active defense up to 163 HP per second. We also upgraded our ballistic control systems to the Dominion ballistic control systems, which boosts your DPS up to 1,072.3. Doing even more damage, more survivability, makes the sites very easy. Okay, so that was our primary PvE fit that we had. Now, because we're out roaming through J space, we also wanted to make sure we could have fun and be pretty successful in PvP, which for the most part, I think we have been fairly successful. We've lost a few ships, expensive ships, that we've been able to replace easily by earning money from the C3 rat sites. So we've learned a ton for sure. So let's jump into the PvP fit that we were using for some time. We changed up our subsystems a little bit. For the propulsion, we're going to be using the chassis optimization. Why? Because we want to make sure that we get an additional mid slot and a low slot. Gives us a bonus to agility and a bonus to maximum velocity. So really what we need is that extra low slot. We really need that because we're going to be overpropping. We're going to be overpropping this PvP fit, which has been very fun. Although there's a big caveat with that. Okay. We're also using the accelerated ejection base still. And then for our defensive subsystem, we're going to go with the covert reconfiguration. What does that give us? 10% bonus to core and combat scanner probe strength. Not bad. Helps out with combat scanning things down. A 7.5% bonus to shield booster effectiveness and a 7.5 bonus to the benefit of overheating your shield boosters. Awesome. Great stuff for PvP. Remember, those are per skill level for your defensive subsystem. And then we get 100% reduction in cloaking devices CPU requirement. 10 plus bonus to relic data analyzers. So if this is a great ship for actually doing data and relic sites. We don't have it configured for that because we've got another ship that does that. So the main thing that we want, though, is the Covert Ops Cloaking Device. So along with the ability to put a Covert Ops Cloaking Device on here, we get an extra high slot. That's for the Covert Ops Cloaking Device. 3 mid slots, plus 300 armor HP, plus 600 hull HP, plus 200 gigajoule capacitor capacity, and then plus 5 meter sig radius. Let's jump into the fit. 6 heavy assault missile launcher 2s. Keep it the same as our PvE fit. Got our Covert Ops Cloaking Device and an expanded probe launcher so that we can use our combat probes as well as our normal scanner probes. We've got a 100 meganewton fed Navy Afterburner. We can move real fast with this ship. 1,234 meters per second. 1,200 meters per second with this Tengu. It is so fast. It's unreal. The problem with that is your mass balloons up to 64,000 tons, which just makes it really, really hard to turn. I mean, from some perspective, with the AB off, our mass is 14,000 tons. AB on, 64,000 tons. It adds 50,000 tons of mass. So once you're going in that, you are going, but you ain't turning. You really got to be careful as to when you turn the AB on or off. It makes your align time insanely high. 21.36 second align time versus 4.7 second align time with this thing off. So there's a big cost. It's super fun. Man, she goes fast. But you got to commit to that direction. Okay, we're doing some PvP, right? So we've got a Shadow Serpentis Warp Scrambler. We've got a Pithum B-type medium shield booster. So we're still with the medium shield boosters here. Need to get as much HP per second back as we can while trying to stay cap stable. We'll talk about why in a second. So we went with the B-type. Expensive, but does give you a nice little boost. Shadow Serpentis Stasis Webifier. Pithum C-type multi-spec shield hardener, and then that Thukker large cap battery. Now, I really tried to match up as many modules as I could from our PvE fit compared to the PvP fit, so that it made it a lot cheaper for one, and then we were also able to swap back and forth a lot faster from our PvP or PvE different fits. In the lows, we've got our Dominion ballistic control systems like we did in PvE, but then we also need to add a reactor control unit 2 because that Federation Navy 100 meganewton afterburner takes a lot of power. Like all the power. So much power. So much, in fact, that we need to use 2 ancillary current router 2s for our rigs to just keep our power grid in order here. It's crazy how much that takes up. And then we've got 1 EM shield reinforcer. So we end up with only 56% EM damage resistance. Not super great. Can be a little bit of an issue. But overall, looking at a little bit less DPS, so 940 damage per second. Just shy of 2,000 for the alpha. We've got 19,000 EHP. 88.9 HP per second active defense. So not terrible. Not bad at all. And then we're going so fast. That 1,200 meter per second really does allow you to speed tank. So why did we elect to go with the overpropped AB? The theory, the thought process behind this was that because we're using heavy assault missile launchers, we really need to close that distance. With these subsystems, we're getting our range only to 25 kilometers. So we gotta be close in if we're fighting some of the bigger ships using the Scourge Rage heavy assault missiles. If you're using the Javelins, you're hitting out to around 46 kilometers per second. Not kilometers per second. You're hitting out to 46 kilometers with those, so pretty far out there. But we're hunting. We are the hunters in J-Space. So we want to lock ships down with our Warp Scrambler and our Webifier. Why the Warp Scrambler? Well, because with the Tengu, unlike the Loki, you're really restricted into how far your Stasis Webifier is going to go. So with the Shadow Serpentis, we're able to get out all the way to 14 kilometers, which is really, really close, right? So the thought process is, well, if we can only web things at 14 kilometers, we might as well go with the Warp Scrambler at 11 kilometers. I actually was running an Abyssal one for a little bit that bumped that out to around 14 as well. The nice thing about the Warp Scrambler is it gives you a scramble strength of 3, so you can actually lock down things like prospects and ventures and get good kills on those guys if you're able to get a lock in time. So that's one of the other reasons we're using the Scrambler. And then the AB is what gets you there. So you can close those distances very, very quickly. And then once you have closed that gap, now we're sitting in an orbit at around 9 or 10 kilometers, going as fast as we possibly can, and we're speed tanking. And it does well. It speed tanks very, very well. We've been able to take out battleships like Praxis, Ravens. It does great against other cruisers. We did lose to a Loki not too long ago. They had a really nice fit in their Loki. And we learned the lesson of remembering to always play the wormhole so you can jump through a wormhole as you're getting low on health. Anyway, I digress. So that's kind of the idea. The other reason we wanted to go with the overpropped Afterburner was just in case we end up being kited. We can help. It helps us close distance against those people who are kiting us, or separate. Since we are going to be close in using a Warp Scrambler, I fully expect other people to be using Warp Scramblers as well, which will shut down your micro warp drive. So we wanted to go with the Afterburner for sure to keep our speed up in that case. Now, if we are getting webbed, that's going to reduce our speed by 60%-ish, which we're still going crazy fast for a T3C. That still leaves us at almost 600 meters per second. That still allows us to get out of web range, to get out of warp scramble range, to be able to warp off if we need to. So that's kind of the idea behind that. And that's our PvP fit. Here's the downside about the PvP fit and the PvE fit. Because we really want to carry a normal cloaking device and swap out our Covert Ops cloaking device for the regular one. Because we want to do that, that takes a lot of space. So the result was that it was not really possible to carry a mobile depot, an MTU, ammunition, the blue loot, our little Fado bro here, our repair. We couldn't carry everything, plus all the modules that we were swapping around in our T3C. By the way, the subsystems have their own subsystem bay, if you didn't realize that or didn't know that, for your T3Cs, which is perfect. And you can swap your rigs out whenever you want to without having them be destroyed, which is great. But that being said, we just didn't have enough room. Not a huge deal for us, because as we're nomading through J-Space. We got a little fleet, so we have our Porpoise over here that we could easily carry everything that we needed to in our fleet hangar. And anytime we wanted to swap from PvE to PvP or vice versa, we just go use the Porpoise and our mobile depot. Standard configuration that we flew around in, like most of the time, was the PvP fit, so we're always ready for combat. And then when we found a nice good wormhole, we'd swap over to the PvE and go do some ratting. Okay, so that's what we were using for PvP. We've mixed things up a little bit. We had a lot of great kills with the overprop fit. We've also died a couple times with the overprop fit. Like I said, turning is hard. Turning is really, really hard when that AB's going. So we decided to try something a little bit different. So what we're doing now, we just refit our Tengu to try this one out, and I'm very happy with it so far, is a very, very close balance between PvP and PvE. And I have found that it does just fine in PvE and doesn't require a significant refit to get PvP optimized. So we're starting with PvP because that is a little bit trickier to do, and then we're going to refit into PvE. Now, for the PvP fit here, everything is the same for our subsystems. We're using the chassis optimization, the accelerated ejection bay, the covert reconfig, and the augmented graviton reactor. For the high slots, we have our 6 heavy assault missile launcher 2s, our covert ops cloaking device, and our expanded probe launcher. For the mid slots, we are now going to go with a 10 meganewton fed Navy Afterburner instead of that 100 meganewton one. We still have our Webifiers and our warp scrambler. So we've got our Shadow Serpentis Stasis Webifier, and then the Shadow Serpentis Abyssal, or the Shadow Serpentis Warp Scrambler. Right, in this case, we've got an Abyssal one, which is not too bad. Now, instead of the medium shield booster, we're going to go with a large shield booster. So in this case, the best that we can get, the Pith X-type large shield booster, which is actually really cheap. I think I got this one for like 300 million-esque. And then a Pithum C-type multi-spec shield hardener. Still have the Thukker large cap battery. Oh yeah, by the way, the reason that we want to make sure we're as cap stable as we can when we're PvP fit is because there are a lot of people using Nosferatus or energy neutralizers out here in wormhole space. Then for the lows, we've got 3 Dominion ballistic control systems. For the rigs, we've got that medium EM shield reinforcer, a medium ancillary current router 2, and a medium capacitor control circuit 2. So if we simulate this, we can see that the ancillary current router keeps our power grid in check, and then the capacitor control circuit gives us the cap stable fit. Okay, so how are we doing for damage? With those 3 ballistic control system 2s, we're doing 1,072 damage. So same as we are on our PvE fit. Great damage. We've got 159 active defense, which is spectacular, especially for PvP. We're doing 2,000 alpha, 19,000 EHP. I mean, it really is about the same defense and damage as our PvE fit, but just kind of reworked slightly for PvP. For our speed, just shy of 600 meters per second still, but now we don't have that crazy mass problem. It's a lot easier to steer. We've got decent align time, 6.4 seconds. Not too bad. So it just feels a lot more kind of controllable in a PvP setting. So what do we do when we want to go do some PvE and do some ratting? Well, now all we do is we throw our mobile depot out there. We swap out this Abyssal warp scrambler, and we throw in a missile guidance computer and then a range script or a precision script, which gets us out to 31 clicks with the range, and then we get a little bit of extra DPS if we've got the precision one on. We can also use our Webifier to slow down frigates, slow down cruisers, boost the damage even more while we're doing PvE. It just works great. It works really well. Here's the kicker. It feels a little bit more risky on the C3 sites because you only have one shield booster. With 2 medium shield boosters and offsetting them so they each rep one after the other, you feel like you have just really consistent health coming back in. Whereas with this large shield booster, while you're still getting the same HP per second, depending on the rats that you're going up against, there could be times where you get double tapped and you just don't quite get that good rep in, and it can really result in you taking a lot of damage. We've tried this against one of the more challenging C3 rat sites, the Outpost Frontier Stronghold, which is pretty tricky. The last wave has got 2 battleships, and we had to warp off the first time we did it. Just didn't have the transversal there. Took a little bit too much damage. I mean, we almost died. It was close. We weren't overheating our multi-spec shield hardener because we really hadn't needed to do that on the previous fit. So we went back in there, and then it was easy day after that. A little bit of overheat where you need it. The 2 battleships, got to make sure you've got good transversal against both of them, and clearing out the frigates that are there as well that web you pretty quickly. But totally doable. Totally doable. We might actually go do one of these fortification frontier strongholds here in a second, just to go and have some fun. Or we'll show you the the Outpost Frontier Stronghold too. We'll show you that one. Okay, I think that's kind of all the fits that we've been using so far. I absolutely love them. I love the Tengu. I really want to try the Loki. I've been messing around with fitting of the Loki. We've got a couple of ideas for it. I'm probably going to start skilling into it. We thought about maybe skill extracting all the stuff from the Tengu and putting it into a Loki, but I mean, I think the Tengu is going to have a very special place in my heart. It's our very first T3C, and it's gone on such an incredible journey with us as we are nomading our way through J-Space. So anyway, those are the fits that we're using. A PvE and a PvP fit that are really, really fun. They clear the T3, they clear the C3 rat sites super, super well. And this ship, while it's expensive, I mean, this one here is sitting at 1.8 billion ISK, all said and done, so almost 2 billion ISK, according to, J-Space market. It's expensive. It is very expensive. But in one C3 wormhole, you're making back that much in blue loot. Easily. I would say that for this, it takes me around 10 minutes-ish to clear one of the C3 sites. They have around 45 to 50-ish million ISK per site. So we're doing around 200 million ISK per hour-ish. I actually don't really think about it that much, just because it's so much fun to do. And what we found is the amount of ISK that you're bringing in each of these sites, especially if you're also doing all the data and relic sites and the gas sites and the blue loot from all the combat sites and the gas sites and the data and relic sites. It's just so much fun, and there's so much ISK to be had. Anyway, thanks for joining. Just my thoughts on our T3C and how well it's been doing here in C3 wormholes. I also wanted to give a huge thank you to everybody. We just cleared 500 subscribers on YouTube. We've been making content for a little over a year now, and YouTube is still kind of confusing to us. We're still experimenting with the type of content that we want to make. You know, is it like build guides, let's plays, things like that. So thank you all. Thank you all so much. 500 subscribers is crazy. Like 500 people clicked subscribe because they wanted to like come back for more content, for more videos. And that means a lot to us. So let me know what else you'd like to see. We are in the process of learning DaVinci Resolve now, so I'm really hoping that the quality of our videos gets to be a lot better. We're taking a lot of time to study tutorials on audio design and VFX and a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's a ton of fun. Lots and lots of fun. It takes a long time to learn that stuff, but I'm really glad that I am. I wish we'd been using DaVinci Resolve earlier, because it's very intuitive and you can just do everything on it. It's great. I absolutely love it. So we've got some, I think some really cool videos that are coming up, some live action stuff, and I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about them. I hope you guys enjoy them. Let me know what else you guys would like to see. Let me know what you think. Some of these videos, we're trying all sorts of different things. Let's plays. We're trying out build guides, different games, obviously. EVE Online, Path of Exile, all sorts of other stuff. If you didn't know, we're also streaming every weekend, which has been great. And then we just started our Patreon to really kind of showcase a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. We're going to be doing some videos on how we make our videos, like video editing inception. We're going to be doing stuff like how we make our videos, behind-the-scenes stuff, but I'm thinking we'll also throw a bunch of tutorials in there, fan requests, things that you guys would like to see. So if you'd like to check that out, we'll have a link in the description for you. But again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting us, for tuning in on the live streams, for leaving comments on our videos, for choosing to come back to the channel. I can't tell you how much it means. If we have, like, you know, just a couple of people get enjoyment for the videos that we're making, then that's really what we care about. We care about having fun, being creative, maybe making, you know, other people smile and enjoy the same, and share the enjoyment with us. So with that, the next time you undock, remember, just focus. You're better than them. Fly dangerous, everyone. All right, so we're here in a safe spot in our C3. We're going to swap our PvP fit to the new PvE fit that I would like to try out. This will be the first time. Really what I'd like to do is showcase one of the C3 sites with this fit, and we'll see how it goes. So for that, let's go ahead and uncloak. We'll get our mobile depot out here. And as soon as our mobile depot is done anchoring here, we're going to be swapping out our warp scrambler for a missile guidance computer. Okay, our mobile depot is done anchoring. We've already got the fitting window open. So let's go ahead. We'll take our warp scrambler, throw it into our cargo bay for a missile guidance computer on here. And then for now, we're just going to put a range script on there. That should be just fine. And that's all we need to do for this refit. We're going to see how this fit does in PvE here. I think we'll be probably just fine. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Now, in this C3 site that we're in, there's not a lot of combat sites available, but there are some solar cells as well as a outpost frontier stronghold. Now, the solar cell is one of the more challenging sites, I would say, and take a little bit longer. The outpost frontier strongholds are not that easy either. They're some of the more difficult C3 sites, as opposed to your fortification frontier strongholds, which are very, very simple, really easy to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll give one of these outpost frontier strongholds a shot. We've got good security on the 3 wormholes that are here, And so with our scouts watching those, we are pretty safe to rat in here. All right, let's jump in. And for this first wave, as we land on grid here, you can see we've got a battleship as well as a couple of turrets. So we're going to turn on our Afterburner, start to make our way towards that battleship, and then these 3 turrets are really what I want to take out. Now we're just going to keep an eye on our tank here and just see how we do. We may need to retreat here quickly, depending on how much we get hit by this battleship for. If we need to, we may need to fly it with a little bit of transversal to avoid flying directly at it, but I think we should be fine for now. So start shooting some missiles at these little turrets here. I find the javelins, they work just fine, but we can swap to rages as well. And then once we get in orbit around the battleship, we should be just fine here. These turrets can do quite a bit of extra damage, but with a good little orbit set, I think we'll be okay. Gonna go ahead and throw this guy up here, just so we remember that that is the trigger for the Outpost Frontier Stronghold. And we'll get our mobile depot out as well. And always save the location of the MTU. And by mobile depot, I do mean mobile tractor use. We want the MTU out there. Don't forget to save the location for it. And we're getting webbed by this guy now, but we should be within range pretty soon to apply our own webs. Yep, there we go. Let's get our Webifier on the battleship, just to help control them a little bit and make sure that we've got a good orbit set on this guy. Okay, got our orbit set. We're not doing too badly for damage right now. So first wave, I think that this fit is going to do just fine here, just fine. We'll take out this last sentry tower here, and then we'll start to chew away at this battleship and get ready for the next wave, which is a nice simple one. Just 4 awakened defenders, 4 cruisers. Kill them as quick as we can. We'll already have our rage missiles loaded up and ready to go. And then after that, we have 4 frigates and 2 battleships. That one can be pretty scary. So that's really going to be the test to see what kind of damage we can withstand in this fit. That last little sentry tower is dead. Let's go ahead and reload to our rages. Actually, don't need this range script anymore, so we can turn this guy off, and we'll throw the precision script on here. Do a little bit of extra application to this Sleepless Defender. Now, for these Outpost Frontier Strongholds, this structure can actually get to be pretty annoying. So you just kind of watch out for where your ship flies in its orbit, and maybe adjust that orbit a little bit if you need to, or manually fly a little bit. What you don't want to have happen is get stuck on these things while this battleship starts to do a lot of damage because you are no longer moving. But looks like our orbit's going to be okay. We'll kind of thread the needle in there, I think. Likely this guy will be dead before we even have to worry about it. Alright, so we've cleaned up that first wave. We'll get a quick reload in here, and we'll jump into an orbit on one of these awakened defenders that have just spawned. All 4 of them are the same, 4 cruisers, and we'll go and start to take these guys out. Now, here's what I'm talking about. Flying into these structures can be really, really annoying. If the ship doesn't get out of this, quickly on its own, like we kind of did here, then you may need to double-click in space, manually fly, and start to get to a new spot. All right, we've got our orbit set on this guy. We're going to start to take out these other enemies here. They generally stay pretty close in. Don't really have to worry about keeping the range script on for right now. In fact, for this entire site, we probably do just fine without the range script, since we can tank that battleship at the very beginning here. So with our rage missiles here, reaching out to 25 clicks. These guys generally stay within there. If they get a little bit too far away, we need to kind of fly at them a little bit. just to make sure that they're within range. But we're not really getting webbed at all, so not too much of an issue. You can see here I'm just kind of ping-ponging with approach between the different targets here. Oop. And there is the sound of someone coming into our high-sec hole here. A buzzard, it looks like. Interesting. They immediately went back into that hole. And we've got one more Awakened Defender left. So we'll go ahead and take this guy out while we continue to monitor our little wormholes here. And then we've got one more wave. So last wave, 4 Emergent Defenders, that's 4 frigates, and 2 Sleepless Defenders, that's 2 battleships, which can be a bit tricky. They're going to show up kind of over here on the side of this insane-looking sleeper structure here. Okay, so as soon as those guys are out, we're going to immediately reload to our javelins. We're going to keep our precision scripts on here so we can get as much damage on these Emergent Defenders as possible while we try to web them down, just to kill them as quick as we can, because they do web us. And these webs are what result in us taking a lot of damage from these 2 battleships over here, which is terrifying. So this will be the true test of our rep here. How much damage can we take? But we really want to kill these guys as quickly as we can. And if we need to warp out, so be it. That's okay. This is a test. We're testing our repair strength here. Some of those hits are like, that hit is really bad. So we're gonna just fly sideways here a little bit as we continue to approach these guys. Don't want to fly straight at them. See how quickly this can rep up here. That was a little close. A little bit too close for comfort. Continue to kind of manually fly our way towards these defenders. That hurt way bad, so we need to get out of here. Let's overheat our... We're going to overheat our shield hardener here as well. Woo. And our shield rep too. Oh, buddy. That was very close. Very, very close. Look away for 1 second here and we're at half armor. Oh, man. Oh. Well, lesson learned. Positioning is very, very, very important there. Okay, let's reload this guy to our rages. At least we got rid of the frigates. We got rid of the majority of those webs. And we can go ahead and repair up. Now, what I don't have in my inventory that I really should have in my cargo hold is a little armor repair module. I forgot to buy one of those, so we'll have to get one of those at some point. But that's okay, because we have on our friend Boojum a small armor repair in that inventory. So we can go and grab that really fast and then either use that to repair our ship, or what we're going to actually do is use our repair drones that we have on our Porpoise to repair our Tengu. Let's warp our way over there. Oh my goodness. Look how beat up we are. All right, well, we'll just repair our wonderful little Tengu here. And then we'll cloak back up our Porpoise. We should be good to go. Never be afraid to overheat, especially your shield hardeners with the T3C. Lots of benefits to overheating, lots of resist there. So we're going to hit grid here already with our multi-spec overheated. Good to go. And then we're going to get ourselves into a nice little orbit here on one of these defenders. So we're already relatively close. Let's get the Afterburner going. We're probably going to get webbed here in a second. And let's begin engaging this Sleepless Defender. They're within range, and we're going to really monitor our recovery now. Once that multi-spec is on, I think we'll be just fine. And we've got pretty good transversal against both of these enemies as well already. And really, if we can clear this site, the only other C3 rad site that I would be a little concerned with is the solar cell. And once we're in orbit here, we should be good to no longer overheat. We'll see how it goes. We're taking a little bit of heat damage, but we'll see how this goes. See, these guys still do web us a little bit. Really knocks our transversal down a bit. But we had a couple of good hits there on us. It looks, I feel like we're going to be fine here, especially now that we've almost got this first guy down. Really want to orbit around 5,000 to 7,500 is kind of what I find. So I'm feeling pretty confident now. We'll turn off our heat. Make sure we got good security, and we've got one down. So let's go ahead and get an orbit going on this one and start to shoot them as well. And now with just one Sleepless Defender, this should be no big deal at all. Easy day. As it stands, especially with two of these Sleepless Defenders, if we get hit by one, and before our large shield booster has a chance to kick in, we get hit by the other defender, that's where we see those really big damages. You know, that's where we get into a really tricky place because we just can't quite outrep that. So I think that's where I really like the double medium shield booster. It's almost the exact same HP per second, but having the ability to offset them like really feels good. It really feels like your health is coming back pretty quickly. That being said though, having the ability to just cloak up and maneuver, to have the Covert Ops cloaking device, to have the Webifier to, with a swap of a single module, be ready to go for PvP from PvE, that is really nice. I think I'm going to try flying this fit a bit more. Okay, we're going to do one more site just to see how it goes. And see if we can't do a little bit better on that site. Okay, so we are almost done with Wave 2 here, taking out the last of these Awakened Defenders here. I'm going to start to make my way towards where the battleships spawn in and get ready to reload the Javelins, get ready to get a good orbit going on those battle cruisers. There we go. We're going to actually double-click in space here to keep our transversal going as we lock up these little guys and start taking them out as quick as we can to get rid of those webs. I'm going to throw a 2,500-foot orbit in on these Sleepless Defenders here. And while we focus on these little guys, we're going to be ready to overheat immediately if we need to. I think our initial direction here, we may need to offset. Yep, let's overheat that multi-spec shield hardener. That should help us out quite a bit here while we continue to take out these little guys. Applying our web on these frigates, especially to make sure they go down as quick as we can. Even go a little bit more sideways. These guys were in range now to the battleship. So that's really all we care about. We want to get close in under their guns as quick as we can. Keep this thing overheating. We've almost got all the webs gone. Let's overheat the AB a little bit as well here. And Now, overheating the large shield booster isn't going to help out as much, but we're still going to throw a little bit of heat on it. Just because we're flirting with 50% here. Once this guy's down, we may be sitting. Okay, let's reload to rage. Turn off the overheat on the big guy. And let's get that orbit going now if we can. Start applying damage to these enemies. Okay, we're still overheating the Afterburner. Let's go ahead and turn that off. We're at 50% on that guy, and I think we should be okay. Still overheat the multi-spec. Looks like we're going to be good. I'm going to turn that off for now. We're almost at full health again. And let's make sure we've got an orbit going instead of approaching directly at them. Sometimes we click the wrong buttons and you just don't get the flight path that we want. Let's get a web going on this guy that we're orbiting just to help us stay a little closer if we can. Do tend to run away from us a little bit, but they can't run away fast enough to get out of range, which is good. And it looks like once those frigates are gone, it looks like we're pretty much good to go here and don't really need to worry about overheating our modules too much, which is good. Good lesson learned. We just gotta make sure we're paying a little bit more attention on these sites than we do on our other PvE fit, which to be fair, on these outpost frontier strongholds, you really always gotta pay attention. It can't be so casual that you just completely, like, you know, almost AFK during these sites. They are tricky. They are a little difficult. But a little bit of heat, no big deal. We've got plenty of repair paste just for such an occasion. That's one of the best things about the Tengu and the T3Cs is how well they can overheat their modules. So much fun.
Module has run out of charges.
So yeah, much better on our second attempt there. I think we're just out of practice a little bit. Alright, let's just finish taking this guy out and secure for ourselves 45 million ISK. Less than 15 minutes. Done.